What's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 22 of the Switchrpg podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined, as always, by Father Nintendo himself, Gio.
What is going on? It's been way too long.
It has been way too long. Has it just been 2 weeks? Because it feels like a lot longer than that.
It does feel like longer, but yeah, just a couple of weeks. And we powered through it. We made it. But we're back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time listening, first of all, we appreciate it. But we want to let you know that this is the official podcast from the website Switchrpg.com that brings you exciting news, upcoming game releases, and all the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. This week, we have got an amazing show for you. A really, really good show. We are talking about Final Fantasy.
Never heard of it.
RPG Easter eggs. And we're making a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the show started.
Beautiful.
Let's get right into the news, Gio, because we have got the most news stories we've ever covered on this show. So our news segment's usually the longest, so we better just get going.
Power through it.
All right. First up, Gio's favorite subject in the entire world. The greatest game Square Enix has ever created, Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, for the Switch, I guess you could say it's the greatest game.
All right. From Go Nintendo, they put an article up that details the results of the Octopath Traveler fan survey that they put out. What I believe it was over 3,500 people wrote in, which if you think about all of the sales and the players of the game, 3,500 isn't that big of a number, but you know,
not at all.
It's a sampling. It's a sampling.
Right. Yeah,
I did not participate in this fan survey.
You know, they didn't want your opinion on it on the matter. No, that's too bad.
No. So most it says that the playtime for these players ranged between 30 and 100 hours. So people who got their feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
And some interesting results here. Just go through some of the highlights. Their favorite aspects of the game included that Japanese players liked the HD 2D pixel graphics. Overseas players, which I'm assuming that meant Western players
or anyone outside of Japan. Maybe.
Yeah. They liked the break and command boost battle systems. Mm-hmm. Both regions liked having the 8 main characters. Speaking of the characters, ranking in number 1 for the character that you start with, your main character, Cyrus was first. Did that surprise you?
It kind of did. I mean, I think maybe just people didn't know like what stories were going to be good. So no one had really any idea except for maybe was Cyrus the first one in the demo or is that Therion? I'm trying to remember now.
The first one in the demo? You mean from the first demo?
The original demo.
The original demo was Ulbrich.
Ulbrich, okay.
Yeah, it was Ulbrich and Primrose. I'm almost positive.
Then I'm not surprised because I would say more often people that played the demo aren't going to choose those characters. They maybe want something new, different. So Cyrus being there, yeah, I could see someone, like I said, someone other than Primrose and Ulbrich.
Right, because that was the first. You already experienced them.
Right.
But they did have that second demo, which allowed you to overwrite those characters, so you could get a feel for everybody. So I don't know. I didn't play Cyrus too much. So Therion was second. Ulbrich and Alphen took the bottom 2 places.
Yeah.
So, and
I,
I think you're onto something with Ulbrich probably sort of getting ignored because most people had already experienced
right.
his first part of his story. Tressa ranked high, and then Hana and Primrose kind of varied. And then my main character, Ophelia, wasn't there at all. So I don't know where she ranked, but
Yeah, I don't see her there.
nowhere to be found. People's favorite main character, not necessarily the one that they began with, but their just favorite character overall. Cyrus took the top spots for both regions. And then Tressa, Therion, and Primrose also ranked highly. It says Alphen was on there, but I think he must have been
A
maybe.
mistake.
Oh man, I think he must have been ranking near the bottom.
Okay.
And then Hana was also near the bottom. I think that had to do with the language, man. I couldn't get through
You
it.
think so?
I
The
couldn't
the
get
old
through it.
English?
I could not get
Yeah.
through the old English.
You
Uh,
see, for me, just the stories in general were just kind of, I don't generic. I guess is not all of them, but most of them were kind of generic for me, which is
s-
kind of why I fell out of love with the game, really. But
Speaking of stories, when it came to favorite main story, Ulbrich was first in Japan,
mm,
and Primrose was second in Japan and top spot outside of Japan.
I totally agree with that. Maybe not so much Ulbrich, but Primrose, she probably has one of the better stories. You know, she's got the most conflict. She's got the most to lose. I feel like she had the better story.
The maturest, too, I think.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily. It wasn't necessarily because it was mature. It was just a better story.
Sure.
It just the others were just kind of generic, happy-go-lucky, weird. Just bad stories in general, in my opinion, anyways. But what do I know?
Favorite events. Let's see. Events in Ulbrich's story relating to Eridart were highly praised in Japan. The finale in Primrose's story ranked highly in both regions. Alphen's Chapter 3 boss was top spot in Japan.
Hmm.
And then Simeon was voted for many times as well. Trying to keep those vague so it's not
Too
actual spoilers for people. Favorite secondary jobs. Cyrus using the Augur hidden job, Tressa as a rune lord, Alphen as a warrior, and Ulbrich as a warlord were highly rated.
Yeah, I didn't even get to a lot of those jobs, so I can't even comment on some of them.
Favorite path action, Therion still was most popular and most used path action alongside Cyrus's Scrutinize.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard
those
so
two
many
were
people
the
talking about Steel.
steal. I stole everything.
Mm-hmm.
Stole from old people, young kids. Bad, bad person.
And then favorite music, Decisive Battle 2, the Octopath Traveler main theme, and Battle 1 were popular in both regions. And then other tracks that rated highly were Battle at Journey's End and Primrose's theme. And I have to agree on Primrose's theme. Love that. And
Yeah,
the
I feel
the main theme as well.
yeah, I feel like you could have put any track there, and it was. I mean, the music is top notch. I
It
feel.
was a highlight for the game, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely was the highlight for sure. And then it looks like they have some requests for the developer. They'd like to see a sequel or possibly some DLC, which they've already said they're not doing.
More on that in a second.
Mm. And one here says, "I just want Octopath Traveler 2 as soon as possible. After playing 100 hours, I've run out of things to do, but I still have an itch to play more. Get another game." I really,
For our audio listeners didn't get to see Gio's face there. That's a shame.
I really like the look of battle jobs, so I'd like the character's field appearance to reflect that as well. Which we've kind of said that in the as well. We'd like the kind of different costumes, kind of a more varied look.
I love
Then they,
costumes in games.
yeah, so that was one of the requests here, and also I'd like a party chat replay feature. I don't see a lot of need for that, but that was a request because the interaction between the characters was so minimal and kind of forced almost. I don't know, but that was those were some of the requests.
Well, speaking of Octopath sequels or possible DLC, let's jump over to Nintendo Life, and they put up an article that details that Octopath Traveler it doesn't look like it's receiving DLC at all, which is actually something that we kind of knew. The developers were very transparent about that very early
Mhm.
on. They created this game to be complete from the beginning.
Right.
And so they actually have a quote in the article here. Regarding paid DLCs, we had decided from the beginning not to create them, so there are no plans right now. Yes, they do include the right now, so I guess that leaves the
Leaves it open.
possibility they could change their mind. They see how well it's selling, and they want to make more money. There's that possibility, but at
Mhm.
least it doesn't look like that's the case. I think it would be the smarter thing would be work on the sequel, which is the other part of this article. It has another quote says, and this is coming from Tomoya Asano, and oh no, I'm sorry. Let's see. Previous
Mhm.
reply. Yeah. So, and it says, as far as a sequel, we still cannot say anything concrete yet, but we've just started talks on how it ought to be. So, I mean, I think it is definitely going to happen. It is
I
a
mean,
such a for sure thing
right, it
after the
sold so
success.
well. Right? Yeah, it sold so well. It would make it would make sense, right? I do wish they would change some things. Maybe have, well, like we've always discussed, some sort of main plot line, main story, and just stick with that, and have the characters kind of find their way into that, that streamlined story. It just was too scattered for my liking. But obviously, that was just me. It did very very well. So I mean, who am I to say, right?
Yeah, and I think no, look, nobody's breaking any news here. Like, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of
Hmm.
when. It's a matter of what they want to do, what they're allowed to do, what they're going to change. So I think, going back to what I'd started to say, I think it would be wiser for them to skip out on DLC.
Yeah.
It was never part of the plan. I think it was never part of the plan because they did not know what they had on their hands necessarily, and so just go ahead. Don't waste any development time on it. Like, you
Right.
put out a very solid game that a lot of people love, and now move into the iteration stage and put out the sequel. So
I'm not
that's what
even.
I'm thinking.
I mean, what else could you possibly add that you couldn't make into another game, you know? I just don't see the need to add more costumes and
Dungeons and things like that.
dungeons when you could just bring that to a new game.
Yeah, yeah. Don't waste
So,
the development time or assets or anything, or not assets, but waste
yeah,
the creation time and
sure.
the manpower. Right. Just go ahead and get that Octopath Traveler 2 title in the works. Come on.
Please, yeah.
There was also sort of a sneaky little thing in this article from Nintendo Life where they mentioned Bravely Default. We've mentioned Bravely Default recently on this podcast.
Mhm.
Said that the series wasn't done. So once again, things we know. It said that the series would definitely make a return. Interesting line. It says the primary goal is not to rush out a game every year. Instead, take time to make a title with the same volume as existing releases. Such a good thing to hear in sort of a time when it seems like so many people want to annualize series or
Right.
get into that cycle of every 2 years. And so quality tends
Yeah,
to go down a little bit.
it definitely does. It degrades what you're putting out. Um yeah, I mean, you kind of see it with, say, Call of Duty. That's just like an annual thing, and you have your Maddens and everything. It's just like
Assassin's Creed
it's just,
dealt with
yeah,
that fatigue.
right. It's just kind of stagnant, and then right, and then it's that fatigue. People just they're tired of it, and you can only, I don't, you don't see the improvement at all, much at all either between games. So yeah, I would, and I think in an RPG, it's always different because they should develop a better story, and I feel like there's a lot of parts in there that take a lot of time, and it's a little more delicate than say Assassin's Creed or some other annualized game or serialized game. So yeah, take your time with it for sure.
All right, we will revisit Square Enix here in a few minutes, but let's jump over to Game Freak, the makers of everybody's favorite RPG,
Well,
Pokemon.
not yours.
I am a diehard Pokemon fan who knows I'm a wealth of knowledge. And basically, I wrote the Wikipedia entry
Whoa.
for it. So the Pokepedia, I've got that's trademarked Pokepedia.
It's but I think it's Bulbapedia. But that's okay.
Is that really a thing?
I think so, yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Anyway, from lootpots.com. Great site name, lootpots.com. They're letting us know that Game Freak is hiring long-term positions that since this is September and Let's Go Pokemons are releasing in November, it's not very likely that these two positions are for the Let's Go Pokemon. So it is likely that this is for the core Pokemon game that's slated to release next year, later half of next year.
Right, and I hope they stick with that timeline. And other than Dark Souls, right, getting pushed back, there haven't been too many I consider this kind of a first party game. First party games that have been delayed that I can think of. So they're saying late 2019. I'm gonna have to, agree with that.
Do you think because Pokemon isn't necessarily like pushing hardware as far as specs go, right? It's never been a powerhouse, so like they could put this together in a year and a half. Maybe they already have sort of a team and now they're just adding on extra to that. They're not necessarily like hiring the core team, hopefully, at this juncture.
Right,
this isn't Final Fantasy VII.
No, but at this point we don't even really know what it's going to look like because it's been on a handheld system for so long, so they're going to have to upscale and kind of use that graphical power that they have now in the Switch. They're going to have to do something. They can't just put out these handheld quality games. They have to do something. And you can kind of see the major difference in Pokemon Let's Go. So who's to say that they just build on that kind of framework or engine they have going there.
So they detail some of the descriptions that were posted in the actual job listing. There were two specific ones that they cover. Both of them are long-term jobs. They're not contracting jobs, so that does sort of, make it seem more like the core Pokemon game. Not something coming soon. The planner position. One of the descriptions for it was that it needs to have experience creating highly strategic game systems, as well as planning and creating specifications for a new RPG development project. And then the motion designer role covers animation work for movement, facial expressions, secondary motions. So, I mean, it sounds very general, but maybe, I don't know, maybe like the facial expressions things, maybe we are getting a more detailed Pokemon,
It sounds like it because, I mean, there weren't many cutscenes in the other handheld games. I mean, there are some, but maybe these are kind of fully voiced, and there's a little bit more behind this one, which is really good.
And also with this, and who knows like how much of an impact these positions will necessarily have. But I know that there was some concern over what was it, the way that you capture Pokemon and Let's Go, because they've kind of done away with battling as much, and it's more Pokemon Go-ish, right? Which is tossing the ball or whatever. But with this planner, they want experience in highly strategic game systems. That seems like a good thing, right? Like maybe
I think they're going back
to actual RPG sort of elements.
Yeah.
And mechanics. Sure. I think that's good. Because I've got a lot riding on this Pokemon series. I do. Speaking of Pokemon, we got ourselves a new look Switch. If you are excited about Pokemon, you love those Pokemon colors and all those little characters and everything, and you want your Switch and your Joy-Cons to reflect how much you love that stuff, then we do have a Pokemon Nintendo Switch announced in the style of Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah, I think it looks really, really cool.
The dock has Pikachu on one side, Eevee on the other, and then the Joy-Cons are the colors of those Pokemon.
Yeah, corresponding on each side. And I think this is what's gonna really sell systems. You're putting out these new bundles. Whether it has, I don't think it's gonna have a physical copy. I think it's gonna have either a code or maybe pre-installed. I know that when it's
pre-installed on this one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that when I bought the Mario Odyssey one for my son, it came with a code. But this is what's going to push system sales. There have been rumors of a Smash bundle. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Metroid bundle or a controller, which I would buy in a second if there was a Metroid controller. But yeah, it's perfect. There's a lot of people are going to go for this for sure.
There's going to be so much Pokemon stuff eventually. I mean, they've got the Pokeball thing. They've got this now. Leading up to Pokemon 2019, there's going to be so much stuff. So I think this is just the beginning. This bundle, as Gio alluded to, you can choose the different between the two versions, and it will come preloaded with one or the other version, whichever one you choose.
The console looks identical.
Yeah,
it's just whether it's Eevee or Pikachu.
And then it comes with that Pokeball Plus accessory, which you've got to have. You can't play the game without it, actually.
They say it actually makes more sense to play it with just the Pokeball. It makes it easier because you can throw it and whatnot, but it's just another accessory I don't have room for.
Gio, I've got a question for a professional video game journalist. When it comes to the Pokeball Plus, can I throw it against my wall?
It is frowned upon and not covered under factory warranty. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Jeez. Will I have to get a protective case for my Pokeball Plus?
Yes, you'll be able to get a silicone case for it. Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Do you doubt that they won't? There will definitely.
OtterBox is going to put out here breaking news. Breaking news. Switchrpg podcast. OtterBox is making a protective case for the Pokeball Plus.
And I would not doubt it. Not doubt it at all.
All right. Here, let's take a little trip into some. Nintendo not making sense. Now, we never have to go far for this, right?
No.
Especially when you start talking about online services with a Nintendo. But let's talk a little bit, because this does actually pertain to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And I chose an article from Forbes that details the interesting reasoning put out by Nintendo recently as to why many games don't support cloud saving cloud backup. Okay. The current list of games that lack cloud saves on the Switch, according to Forbes here, FIFA 19, NBA 2K19, Dead Cells, Dark Souls, Splatoon 2, and the upcoming Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Once again, they lack cloud saving features.
Now, is there? I'm sorry. I'll let you finish up here.
The official response, the official comment from Nintendo as to why games don't support it is as follows. The vast majority of Nintendo Switch games will support save data cloud backup. However, in certain games, this feature would make it possible to, for example, regain items that had been traded to other players or revert to a higher online multiplayer ranking that had been lost. To ensure fair play, save data cloud backup may not be enabled for such games. To ensure that save data cloud backups cannot be used to unfairly affect online multiplayer rankings, the feature will not be enabled in such games as Splatoon 2. End quote.
Baloney. That's what it is. That's the word I'm going to use. It's a bunch of baloney. Okay. PlayStation, Xbox, they handle this with no issues. There are no issues, really. I mean, there's cheating, but I mean, handle it a different way. Now, is this Nintendo's way of, say, for example, with FIFA or what was FIFA, NBA,
And 2K.
maybe having in Dark Souls, maybe having From Software and EA handle it themselves, handle the save data themselves on their server? Is this kind of Nintendo's way of having them do that? Now with Dead Cells, I don't get it. That's not even an online game.
Are there online high scores and stuff? Because that their explanation didn't seem to match some of these games that
I don't
felt
know.
offline.
I feel like with any saved data, and you can find exploits for. So I mean, the fact that this is their excuse, it's a bunch of, as I've said, baloney.
Now, to kind of piggyback off of something that you mentioned, is will the publisher be handling this on their end? There is an interesting case here that the Forbes article brings up. That's because their huge thing that they're focusing on here is a Pokemon game. Say this Pokemon Let's Go, right? There are so many Pokemon to catch, right? You're spending hours, hundreds of hours catching all these Pokemon, but there's no cloud data, backup. So your Switch gets lost, broken, stolen. All those Pokemon gone. Okay.
Yep.
But there is something that does save the day here, and that is that there is a Pokemon Bank subscription service where you can pay $5 a year to back up all of your Pokemon saves.
And that's typically how it's been handled with Pokemon. But you've also been able to save it locally, which is another thing. Why don't you just enable that feature? I guess you could call it a feature. But another thing with Pokemon, there's, Pokebank is I think is the ultimate solution with Pokemon Let's Go. But there's different layers with that game because you can play it mobile, you can play it on the Switch. So how are they handling that? How integrated are they? So I think that also might be something that they're trying to steer clear from, maybe.
My question is Nintendo getting a slice of that $5 pie?
Well, they're not
From
technically.
Pokemon? No, you don't think so?
I mean, unless it's purchased in the eShop, then yes, they would be getting a slice of that pie. And I think, and I'm trying to remember on the 3DS with the last one I played, I believe you have to go through the eShop to get it. So
to get the Pokemon Bank thing?
Yeah, to get the Pokebank. So they may be getting a slice of that. Follow
Okay.
the money is what you're saying?
Okay. All right. Nintendo Online's only $25 a year, but if you want to play Pokemon and have all of your Pokemans, then you gotta pay $5 a year.
That's it.
Okay.
Save
Anyway,
your Pokemons.
so Nintendo Online being Nintendo Online. It's 2018. It's 2018.
Or at least allow the end user like to save it themselves to a thumb drive, and if they mess that up, then they
That
mess it
is
up.
grounds for cheating.
Oh jeez.
Cheater. 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 All right, in a positive light, Nintendo is selling extremely well, specifically over in Japan. From Destructoid, we've got a piece breaking down the fact that the Switch since 2017 has already sold about 5 million copies compared to the PS4's 7 million. And then the PS4 has a roughly 3-year head start on the Switch.
That's
so
pretty good.
That is pretty good. So the Switch is in good shape, to say the least.
Were they wanting to reach 20 million? Is that what their number was? Do you recall that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Now, I mean, this is just in Japan, though, right? This is not total. So I don't know
I
what.
understand that, but I mean,
were they wanting to hit 20 in Japan? Is that what you're asking?
No. I think they wanted to hit it worldwide.
Oh, okay.
And typically Japan's kind of a big hitter, so I need to find out how close they are to that, and then see, how much Pokemon or Smash is going to help that. And I think having those bundles is for sure gonna help them out.
Okay, so from July 31st at Polygon, in its latest quarterly earnings report, Nintendo announced it has sold 19.67 million units. That was as of June 30th. So they basically hit that 20 million mark.
Yeah, and I think their goal was 20. I think that's what it was. But yeah, they're doing okay over there. Actually, they're not, because we just had a direct that was delayed because of a major earthquake.
The earthquake, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that was as of June 30th. Since we did put it up against PS4 over in Japan, the Polygon article here also says as of December 31st, 2017, Sony was indicating PS4 had sold 73.6.
Okay.
The monster that is the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that is a monster.
But it's so good to see that the Switch is healthy, and I think we're just year 2, guys. We're year 2. It's looking really good, and I think you're so right. I think that the health of it in Japan is such a good barometer. It's always good to see Nintendo hardware specifically. I'd love to see it succeed over there. So I'm a fan. Okay, from hardware, let's go back to software. We got a good one right here, guys. We got a good one. THQ Nordic. This has come from IGN. THQ Nordic has done something historic. It has bought the greatest franchise of all time.
The greatest
franchise to ever be created, Kingdoms of Amalur.
No, I've never played this. You have, right?
No, I haven't. That's why I always
So
I
it's
always
the greatest
just praise it. Yeah. It's the greatest franchise
never be played
ever
by either one of us.
Yeah. the greatest. It's the greatest because it was made by the greatest.
Well,
Bloody Sock Kurt Schilling.
He did win the Red Sox a world championship, but doesn't necessarily.
Then he did,
he's the greatest
bankrupt
he stole
the company. And
he took a lot of money from
Rhode
Island.
The people of Rhode Island. Okay, we extend our apologies to the people of Rhode Island. But this is the greatest franchise of all time, and now it belongs to THQ Nordic,
which is a good company, I think, to be in their hands. Hopefully they do something well with it. Now, I believe EA has also said that they or THQ needs to see EA about doing a remake. If they're ever going to do a remake, EA needs to be involved. So who knows how that's going to go.
I'm trying to find just a decent list of THQ Nordic titles. And I'm just not. What off the top of your head are they responsible for?
How can you not find a good list here?
No, I mean when I say a good list, I mean like an actual list. Everything I'm finding is just like paragraph, paragraph, paragraph,
and like slideshow.
Were they Saints Row? No.
Darksiders.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, hang on. My Apple iPad is a slow Apple iPad. They did Titan Quest, or part of it. Like I said, Darksiders. They're doing Biomutant.
Okay.
Are they doing Biomutant?
I don't know. Let's see. 2016.
They also have a ton of subsidiaries.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing that list there. Anyway. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, they're the holders of the greatest franchise of all time, so that's all that really. It's a list of one thing. It's a list of one thing. They've never even created a game for it, but it's a list of one franchise. So now the question does become: do they remake it, or do they just carry on with a brand new game in that setting?
Sure.
My mind is. Definitely not a remake. Definitely not a remake. Yeah. And I think what you were talking about was the port, because we did have or remaster rather. I'm sorry, a remaster. Yeah. You were right. We've got PC Gamer reporting that Kingdoms of Amalur remaster can't happen unless EA agrees. So I don't think that necessarily is the route to go. Once again, it's all about time, investment, also money. Are people going to buy that game? Like, I mean, it didn't sell extremely well before, even though it was good and it was received really well. I mean, IGN gave it a 9 back in the day. I feel like it was, what was great about it, because I watched a lot of it. Don't get me wrong. I never played it, but I watched a lot of it. And that combat was different, right? It wasn't trying to be Elder Scrolls. And I think that was so important. And specifically for that time, it was not trying to be the first person ultra realistic fantasy. It had its own style, art style, and it had that really good combat. It had a lot of cool like actual mechanics as far as buying and selling and looting and things like that. So I think it's interesting, but I think you take the setting, which to me, some of the lore of that game and the environment and the setting of that game was actually probably better than the game was. It was a title where, and they've got it listed here. It's the author R.A. Salvatore. I mean, very well known author. The Spawn creator Todd McFarlane, and then Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion lead designer Ken Ralston. So I mean, we're talking major talent. They created this entire world. They made this game. They had an MMO in development, but I mean, we're talking like late 2000s, so everybody had an MMO in development. So I'm interested to see. I don't know if they come out with an MMO at this point. I believe that was called Copernicus. Was the working title or whatever. I don't think you go that route, but I think you take the world, the story, you take the setting, you go a brand new game. I think you are potentially on a gold mine. I'm so happy that this IP is out in the world again. We've been talking about this series since episode 1. I mean, I've been saying like, this is the IP that I want to come back. And we actually have a question in a bit. And I think this is both of our answers. I mean, this is, what dead franchise do you want to return? This has been my answer for a long time. Because not only do I want to go back and play this game, but I craved stuff from that world. I mean, I followed this game a long time before it came out, and it just never worked out. I didn't have a system at the time that could play it. So, anyway,
so going back to THQ Nordic, they're behind Biomutant, like I said, Darksiders, Pillars of Eternity, Deadfire, which is coming out really soon, Titan Quest, Zoo Tycoon, and that's just this first page. Recore, are they behind that now? Battle Chasers is also kind of behind now. They're also they're this must be just publishing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. So why are we talking about it here? Well, number one, I want it on Switch. So
yeah,
and I have a good feeling that, especially whatever comes out of this is going to start in the next year or two. By the time they are developing whatever this game is, the Switch is going to be very established. I mean, the reason we've been seeing remasters and ports over to it is because people are realizing, okay, this is a thing we can port to it. So I think now you're going to see the wave of when people start creating now. We might see it. Now, my concern is how underpowered it is, because if THQ comes in and they want to make a just truly next gen game, could the Switch run it? Could the Switch run it? That would be my concern with somebody creating a game now. But if you go back and look at the old game, one thing that I pointed out was the art style. It's very stylized. It's not super photorealistic. And I feel like those types of games you can get to run a little bit better on an underpowered system. So that is my hope for whatever this title is.
I got to agree. All
right, let's talk some more. And let's talk game announcements here. We've had some announcements. Remember, we are covering news from the past 2 weeks. So we've had a lot to cover. First off, from RPGsite.net. Remember that Valkyria Chronicles 4 is releasing on Switch very soon. That is, let's see, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is coming.
Check switchrpg.com.
Yes.
They should have it there.
Do that. Valkyria Chronicles 4. Recent coming soon. September 25th. In not but 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay, so that's coming September 25th. So we've known about Valkyria Chronicles 4. A lot of people excited. They're like, well, why can't we play the old games? Well, Gio, I got good news for you.
What is the news?
The news is that you can play the original Valkyria Chronicles on the Switch at some point.
Nice.
At some point.
They're
remastering. They're localizing the release. Let's see, of the PS3 title. It will include all of the DLC. It is heading to the Nintendo eShop on October 16th.
Nice.
So there you go. Now,
were you able to play the Valkyria Chronicles 4
demo? Yeah, a little bit.
You did?
A little bit. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I was playing it right on the heels of playing Banner Saga 3, and so I was really into that tactical strategic mindset and just like, I want some more. So yeah, I liked it. That was my first foray into the old VC, if you will, the Valkyria Chronicles. So I'm very curious about going back and playing the original. And something cool that they're doing is if you own VC4, if you own Valkyria Chronicles 4 digitally on Switch, you can get the original VC, the remaster, you can get 25% off.
Nice.
And it's listed $19.99, so you're getting 25% off that $19.99. I think that's a pretty cool thing. It's pretty cool.
It definitely is.
So yeah,
I wish more companies would do that. But yeah,
sure.
awesome.
Because once again, it's assuming people have bought this game before, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's assuming you've bought this game before. If you haven't, then here's a way for you to even get in, because you're interested in VC4. I also think it's smart because they announced this before Valkyria Chronicles 4 actually releases. It releases in 2 weeks. This is a great way to ensure people go ahead and buy it. Hey, buy it, and then you'll get the sale price on the game that we're releasing in a month. I think that's
more
super
incentive.
smart. Go ahead and get people to buy that stuff. So that's cool. So for everyone excited about VC4, maybe you wanted to go back and play original VC, and now you'll be able to on the Switch. I think that's a great platform for it. Now, Geo. Cue the music, because we finally did it.
What did
we do? Did it. Final Fantasy has made it to the Nintendo Switch. A round of applause. We've been waiting for it for so long. The long-awaited remaster of Final Fantasy VI is landing on the Nintendo Switch.
No, you're wrong. It's not 6. It's 3, right?
Well, okay, well, first of all, no, stop. It's actually 6. But second of all, no, I am just kidding, everybody. The Royal Edition of Final Fantasy 15 has made it to Switch.
The Royal Edition?
Wait, I'm sorry. No, guys, I'm just kidding. The Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15 has come to Switch as, yes, you heard it, the very first Final Fantasy to come to Nintendo Switch is the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition.
Cheapo Edition? Cheapo Edition?
The Mobile Edition.
Oh, it's... I don't know. Some people like it. It's the Light Edition. All right, let's call it for what it is.
Look, okay. So, sort of my sarcasm aside, all right? Because if we're not careful, I'm going to divulge into one of my lovely Square Enix rants. But I like the concept of the Pocket Edition. I really do. I wish that the combat was a little bit more robust. I wish that, since they were putting it on consoles, that they would have made it a little bit more action-oriented rather than the automated, for touchscreen stuff. But... okay, all right. I'll save this to the next thing. Okay, just a couple of things. Yes, Pocket Edition HD is what it's called. I mean, like, how can you even call it okay? Anyway, Pocket Edition HD. It is available now on Xbox One and PS4, and Nintendo Switch versions coming later. How does this keep happening?
It does, and why would
the Pocket Edition? This isn't Dark Souls. This is the Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. It was
Mobile Edition.
It's on my iPhone. Don't tell me that this was Unreal Engine again.
No.
This isn't Dragon Quest 11. God.
No, this should not be happening. There's no localization to be happening here. There should be no excuses, especially from
I don't understand. And there's no explanation for it, I don't think, right? At least not that I've read.
It doesn't really affect me because I really have zero interest in this game. So it doesn't affect me, but it affects my kind of mental place with games being delayed for reasons that I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why this would get delayed, honestly.
I have no logical explanation for it. I have no logical explanation for why it is out on Xbox One and PS4 right now. Because I believe it wasn't it announced and hey, you can go get it now. Except if you're on Switch, just wait a little bit longer. Just wait a little bit longer.
Just be patient.
You know what it is? This is actually the very first instance of this generation. I'm surprised we didn't get a video trailer of it, but Sony and Xbox has come together. Sony and Microsoft have come together to survive together against the Switch. And they've actually they've actually made a deal for timed exclusivity for this title.
Yeah.
It's console exclusive,
like it,
timed
right?
exclusive,
Yeah.
and it's coming to Switch later. After that time, after the 6 months.
Square Enix hating ooze is like pouring out of you right now.
Give me another 30 seconds.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. For real though, the real congratulatory moment here for the actual Final Fantasy that was announced this week, and that is the remaster of Final Fantasy IX, the game that we've all wanted forever. No, I'm kidding. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is coming to PS4 and Nintendo Switch.
So games that no one's been like, these are like, no one's been asking for these, but here you go. Just take it.
Oh my god!
You have it. Oh man.
Okay. All right. Calm down. I've never played Crystal Chronicles, so I can't say anything bad about it. All right. I would love, please, everyone tweet at me one reason why Crystal Chronicles is great and also why we want it on Switch. I'm seriously asking for that. Please go tweet at me at Philip99. You can at me. One reason why it's a good game that we want on Switch. One reason. That's it. Because look, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying we shouldn't have gotten this. That's not what I'm saying. Because once again, have not played this, so I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just asking, why do I need to be excited? Because here is my problem. Okay,
Your
because
problem is that I'm not going to answer your question. I'm just going to back away.
Because I don't necessarily have an issue with the Pocket Edition of 15. I think it's a cool concept. I don't necessarily have a problem with Crystal Chronicles. But why are these the first two Final Fantasies we're getting on the Switch? Why? Why when we have versions of every single Final Fantasy on Steam right now? Almost every version of them on Steam. And I'm not even saying that those are great versions, but why don't we have a Final Fantasy on Switch before the Pocket Edition, which actually we might, because the Pocket Edition, who knows when that's coming, and then Crystal Chronicles, the classic, the most classic game. Why are we getting these before we're getting any other Final Fantasy?
Any other numbered one?
Any other numbered Final Fantasy. I don't want to believe this, but I feel like this is Square Enix just being so out of touch and arrogant about what we want and like what they should be doing. Why? Why? Because, and once again, I'm seriously asking for responses. Why would Square Enix put these two games out as the very first Final Fantasies? And once again, I am more than okay with getting these. I'm not complaining about getting, games from Square Enix. It's why are these the first? Why are we almost 2 years into this console's life cycle, a year and a half into this console's life cycle? And yes, we've gotten great support from Square Enix, but literally no Final Fantasy when I think that the moment you put Chrono Trigger on there, the moment you put Secret of Mana in there, the moment you put Final Fantasy 6, 7, 9, the moment you put Final Fantasy 4, there's so many versions and so many games that they could put on there before these that to me, I feel like are easy ports, but I'm not a game developer, so whatever. Before you put out the Pocket Edition for Final Fantasy 15, I don't know. I'm sorry. I've been steaming about this all day.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played Crystal Chronicles either, so I know that there's some online components. So maybe that's,
Look, yeah, because I know the thing was multiplayer. I know the thing was multiplayer. That's cool. I get it. But are you kidding me? Crystal Chronicles?
and it's a remaster, so it's not like just a port.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a little bit more involved in this. I mean, I don't want to sell it short, but I mean, it looks interesting. I'd be willing to give this a shot over Final Fantasy 15 Light Edition. You know,
Here's the problem.
oh my god.
Here's the problem. Here's the
Here's the
problem.
issue.
Is I've got to get these games. I've got to, because the
No, you
moment
don't.
I don't,
No, you don't.
yes, no. Because the moment I don't, Square Enix is going to go, well, these games didn't sell well, so nobody wants their games on the Switch. No, you just put the wrong ones on there.
Yeah.
I feel like us sending a message that these aren't the games that we want would be interpreted by Square Enix as they don't want our games on Switch. And then we
I could see
never
that.
get the other Final Fantasy games.
Then we get
Well, our
nothing.
Final Fantasy games that we put on there didn't sell well, so we're gonna back out.
I mean, we have a few things coming up in the near future. Maybe there is a little bit more that we don't know about quite yet. You know, we're missing a direct. You know, that's going to happen sometime soon. Who knows when they're rescheduling that? It's been rumored for actually the 13th, the 13th, I believe. So, who knows when we'll get that? And then you also have the Tokyo Game Show. So, I know Square Enix has a big following in there. So,
More on that in a few minutes. You're totally yeah. I mean, and look, the ironic part in all this is that even though these are announced, we actually could, in theory, get a different Final Fantasy first if like a port like pops up this winter or something, right? Because once again, we don't really know when the Pocket Edition is going to drop. Presumably, it would be soon. But once again, I don't really count that as a game. I mean, come on, that is the weakest excuse of a Final Fantasy on the console. But I mean, this Crystal Chronicles internationally was quote unquote coming 2019. So, well, I'm sorry, Japan. Not we don't even have confirmation on international yet. So, God, I'm so lit. I'm just messing my camera up here. So we don't even have confirmation on international yet. So,
Right.
2019, it could be late 2019 before the West ever gets this. So we could easily have another Final Fantasy drop before then. It's just like, I don't know. You have one of the most prestigious JRPG series. You have two of the most prestigious JRPG series in existence in Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. And Dragon Quest 11, maybe understandably, was delayed into literally eternity. Literally eternity. And then you have Final Fantasy. And so it's like, okay, what is going to be the big introduction to Final Fantasy on this great piece of hardware? And Square Enix comes in with the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15 and Crystal Chronicles Remastered. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. All right.
I don't want to add anything to that. That was perfect.
That's going to wrap up the news for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I always do this. I messed... Moment of transparency, I totally messed up our doc one time because I took out some sections and I always forget to add them back in. So let's go over games we've been playing this week, Gio. Please lighten the mood. Make me happy for a second. What have you been playing?
All right, I've been playing a game, and I've been talking about it on Discord as well as on my Twitters. It's a game that is in my top 5 RPGs of all time being played, and I just started playing it.
Path of Exile.
Instantly fell in love with it. Divinity Original Sin 2.
You've been very excited about that, yeah.
Oh my god, it is pretty darn good. It is really, really good. It's got you can really do anything. You don't have to follow, I mean, you have to follow quests, but you can you can kill NPCs any NPC that you want. It's voice acted really well. The music as well. The skills and the abilities are like perfect. This is like, as some may know, I play a lot of Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. This is probably the closest thing that you will ever get to pen and paper on a video game.
Wow.
It is absolutely perfect to me. And I know that the original version, which I had not played, this is the definitive version that I'm talking about. There was some issues with the third act. I am nowhere near that. So they've cleaned things up. It looks phenomenal. And man, it's awesome. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Great. I had a friend who really praised that game. I think before it ever came out, actually, he was really hyping it up, and we were actually going to play it on Steam together, and then never did. So what are you playing on Switch, or
no,
it hasn't come out. It hasn't come to Switch.
No. I'm playing it on Xbox.
Is there online multiplayer for that?
I have not tried it though. My brother-in-law has it. We haven't gone there. He's pretty much a single player gamer.
Oh
man! Now I got to think of a different way to say this. But anyways, he and I are both
prefers single player experiences.
Single player games, and so we haven't jumped into the co-op experience. I'd be interested in seeing how that works, bringing your own character in there and, leveling it up, and then how it comes back. Maybe there's some cloud saving going on there. I'm not entirely sure. But, I mean, the single-player experience is phenomenal so far. I absolutely love it. What have you been doing with your life?
So it's been 2 weeks. So I've had a little time to game. I'm in sort of a weird spot right now because I'm having to kind of go through a spending freeze, so I'm not really able to get anything new at the moment. So the last game that I did get before my freeze was DQ11. I said, all right, I'm gonna save up for this, and then that's gonna have to be sort of it for a bit. There's some games that I want to get soon, but I'm just gonna have to sort of press the pause button for a while.
Sure.
But so I
to clutter your backlog. Those games are always gonna be there. It's not like games sell out anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, I've kind of been going on sort of this self-reflection recently of just how many games I'm just constantly getting and I'm never finishing, and then I've got 100 games, hundreds of games that I need to play that I actually own, but I don't play them because I just keep getting new ones that I don't finish. Right. So like, I really want to try to be conscious about going back and actually playing some of the games that I need to play, that I actually already own. My budget would really appreciate it too. So yeah. I have been playing a little bit of Dragon Quest 11. Meatball Sub from the site has actually played it a lot more than I have. He's been enjoying it a lot. I'm only a couple of hours in, not very far. Okay. And that's actually because I also picked Final Fantasy 14 back up. A game that I never got too far into before. I've picked it up several times in the past. I think the furthest I ever got was like level 30. But what I'm trying to do with Final Fantasy 14 is I'm actually trying to retrain my brain to take my time in games, because it's actually something else that I've really sort of realized is I've been going so fast in games for like the past 2 years that I've almost relied too much on walkthroughs just to get through things fast, and like just accept all the quests in a game, so then I can just like go through, never read anything, and just try to like get through as much of the content as I can, because I want to try to experience as many games as I can. And I've just realized that, God, I've just like become a machine over time. And so what I'm trying to do is sort of retrain my brain of just read through everything, read through all the quests, like taking the story and taking this world. And I've taken my compass off of my UI and forcing myself to just read the quest descriptions and try to find it on my own. You know,
So
like
kind of make it more immersive.
yeah, and just try to like, because what I've discovered is the compass in all games are such a crutch for me that I wind up like watching my dot like go around on the compass, just trying to get to like the quest point as quick as possible.
Right.
That I don't even look at the game assets anymore.
Let me tell you this. In Divinity Original Sin, there's none of that. All like that's how the game is. You have to read and react and go to wherever it says. It's like I said, it's like a true pen and paper. You know, I don't know if everybody does this, but when I'm at the table, I'm writing things down, so I remember to ask the dungeon master, you know, about certain things, and you know, he doesn't have to keep trying to remember. You know, with Divinity, it's that way. It is that way. You have to. There's so many different paths you can take, and there's no waypoints. It's perfect. You would love it.
That's really cool. That's really cool because I mean that is, I am actually like I'm having to relearn how to be patient and how to just play and absorb games again, because like I used to not have this problem back when I was growing up, especially like playing MMOs and things like that, because like I didn't have a whole lot of other games, and then I was I didn't have money as a kid, so like I just had fun in the moment and just took my time with things. And I'm trying to just sort of get back to that a little bit. And
I also feel like games didn't come out at such a rapid pace.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking of, and we're going to see that in just a second. But like, there's like 5 games that I'd love to get in the next week or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's me. So DQ11 and then Final Fantasy 14. Having a lot of fun with both of them. If anybody listening plays 14, message me on Twitter at Philip99. All that spelled out. Okay, games coming out. This week. That's through the 14th. Remember, you're listening to this on the 12th, Wednesday the 12th, and we are going to cover the previous 2 weeks. So back on September 4th, we had God Wars: The Complete Legend. September 4th, we also had Moonfall Ultimate. September 6th, we had Hyper Light Drifter, kind of a highly anticipated indie release there. We do have a review of that on the site, reviewed by
was it EB?
Yeah, really passionate gamer is what he is on the website. Then September 13th, remember that's going to be tomorrow for everybody listening. We've got Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, game I'm very excited about. We have Bastion, also on the 13th. We have Super Dungeon Tactics, really cashing in on the SEO title there. And then is this right? A Saturday release for Undertale? Is that right? September 15th?
I mean, it is
What?
Undertale. They kind of do their own thing.
That's what we've got on the site, is September 15th release for Undertale, a Saturday. So, instead of getting your Saturday morning cartoons, then I guess you can just Undertale it up on Saturday. Cool. Anyway, there you go. There's your weekend releases. Like I said, that's 3. That's 4. I'd love to get Hyperlight. I'd love to get Wasteland. I'd love to get Bastion and Undertale. That's 4 games this week.
Undertale is the 18th.
18th. Okay. All right. Well, we'll adjust that on the site.
We will have to fix that. Yes.
Yeah. Which is next Tuesday, which makes a lot more sense.
Yep.
Anyway, Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from you. Remember, we're all about community here at the Switchrpg podcast. So if you want to be part of the show, you can email your questions. And I was in the middle of retyping the sentence and didn't do it. But you can fill out our form at switchrpg.com/podcast. switchrpg.com/podcast. That's switchrpg.com/podcast. Fill out that form, hit submit, it goes right to us. Okay. Gio, what's the first question?
I don't recall who it's from, but they state that they've been seeing a few different franchises getting resurrected and are getting Switch ports / remakes. If you could pick one franchise to bring back from the dead, what would it be? And I believe this person also said they'd love to have The Legend of Dragoon, maybe a sequel or a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We did kind of mention Kingdoms of Amalur. I would like to see that on the Switch for sure. But one thing I really would like to see bring back from the dead and on the Switch would be Knights of the Old Republic.
Great choice.
Yeah, I played a lot of that, before Mass Effect. And if they could just kind of revamp the combat, kind of just update it a little bit, because it is a little dated. If they could just do that, keep it really kind of story driven, perfect. It would be perfect.
I think they gave us some of the best look into the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was great. Kingdoms of Amalur is sort of my obvious choice. Like what I said earlier, very happy that the IP is out of the dungeon. This isn't necessarily a franchise per se because it was a single game, but I would love to see something else called Lost Odyssey, maybe like a Lost Odyssey 2. I don't think we'll ever get that, but Lost Odyssey was a great RPG, one that I haven't played much of, but it's highly, highly praised from back on the old Xbox. So Sakaguchi, Sakaguchi creation before he started making everything on mobile.
Yeah, I don't know why that he ventured to mobile.
There's several of those developers that have done that, and God, so much talent and creativity, and now it's just.
And even the games he's created on mobile, I've looked at them. They're not so good. So I don't know. I don't get it.
Maybe he's just in the point of his career where he's like, I don't have to do. I mean, because I'm sure that is such a emotional and physical strain. I'm not diminishing that. I'm sure. I mean, he's been doing this for decades, and he's not 30 anymore. So I'm sure it's a lot less stressful making the types of games he's making now. Sure. It's just, God, that is such a talent and a creative genius that. I wish we could still maybe get like one last sort of swan song. One Final Fantasy from him. Really.
It's selfish on his part. He should be thinking of us, really.
I write him every day. I don't know why he's not thinking of me.
Do you send a self-addressed stamped envelope? Maybe he could write you back.
I've never thought of that.
So there you go.
Wow.
He doesn't want to pay the way.
Wow. I thought just sending my picture would and my name would like make him look me up on Facebook.
No.
I'd take a Facebook message. He could slide into my DMs. It's like, hey, it's Sakaguchi. You up? All right. Let's see. Captain Vulgar asks, what do we want to see from TGS? Highly paraphrasing his question.
Yeah, well,
so I'm sure actually since this is Captain Vulgar, he'd probably say, what do y'all want to see from TGS?
Yeah, he probably did say that, but I know you want to see more Final Fantasy, which is, it kind of makes sense, right? I want to see more of what Nintendo has kind of teased us with, but we haven't seen enough of. Like, I want to see more Fire Emblem Three Houses. I want to see more Bayonetta 3. I want to see some Metroid something. I know that there's been rumors on a trilogy, but I want to see more of what 4, maybe a cinematic. I want to see something. Where's my Pikmin 4? Where is my Pikmin 4? Yoshi, like there's a lot of stuff. Like we don't know when Yoshi's come out. That looked, I want to say it was the last E3. That looked complete. Like what's happening there?
That was a very that to me has been sort of a very strange delay. That really was.
Yeah. So I mean maybe it's a title where they feel that a delay wouldn't hurt them.
It was crowded.
So,
It was a crowded year last year. So,
but I definitely want to see more RPGs for sure. Obviously.
I think my big one sort of stretch dream here is from Square Enix. I would have loved to have seen Final Fantasy 14. I think that would be doable. I think it would be big for Switch with the MMO. I know when we had Stealth on, he talked about how there's already a Dragon Quest MMO on Switch in Japan. I think getting an MMO from Square Enix over here in the West would be big. It would be big. It'd be big for the console to have an MMO. It would be big for Square Enix to have an actual Final Fantasy on the console. And Final Fantasy 14 is a really good game. So now if that happens, I'm in a predicament because do I start over on the Switch, because I doubt there will actually be cross progression, which there should be, but I know that there's not going to be. There's not cross progression between the PS4 and the PC as far as I know. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know. Please let me know, because that would be big if that was. I don't have a PS4 anymore, but if there is cross progression on PS4 and PC, then there is hope that there could be on Switch and PC.
Maybe.
Now it's interesting. Is Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox?
I don't know. I've never looked into it. So
because I'm very curious. I don't know if it's on Xbox. I really don't know if it's on Xbox, because as far as I know, unless they did away with it, I know that I used to play on my PS4 and my brother used to play on PC. We played together. So there was cross-play in the game between console and PC. So I don't know how that's going to work with the Switch, because I know that now Sony is so anti cross-platform with other consoles. So how is that going to work? Because you can't do Switch PC and PlayStation PC, but then not, right? Like, how does that work?
Do they do that with Fortnite though? They just the PlayStation's excluded, right?
Because PlayStation and PC plays together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe. Because, I mean, I hope to goodness there is crossplay between Switch and PC. There needs to be.
Right.
Especially for the beginning stages of people getting it. You don't want, a 5-year-old MMO coming to a console and you're like, that's the only player base, because I don't think there's going to necessarily be 1 million people getting it. I just don't really see it moving that. Maybe, but I think you really need the community of the PC to give the Switch players people to play with. So that's what I want to see.
I got something for you here.
Yeah.
This is an older article, so I still don't know if Final Fantasy 14 is on the Xbox, but this is an article from June 23rd, 2017. Final Fantasy 14 director wants Switch and Xbox One version, but has one condition. And that condition is he wants crossplay.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. The director, God, his name is Yoshida. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that man so much. I really, really, really do. I somewhat followed the disaster and remake of Final Fantasy 14 when it all went down 5 years ago. But I was so distant, and I kind of followed games casually at that time anyway. I didn't know a lot of details, but I knew that there was the single man, Yoshida, who came in and righted the ship. But this weekend, I watched a fascinating documentary on that whole thing. It's from the YouTube channel No Clip.
Okay.
I don't know if you've watched anything from them. Danny O'Dwyer, and his documentary crew. So go to YouTube, search No Clip, Final Fantasy 14, an absolute incredible inside look at the downfall of the original Final Fantasy 14 game, and then the rebirth in A Realm Reborn. And the thing is that guy, Yoshi P, I think is his nickname, he called out Square Enix so much in that documentary, to the point where he's like, I think PR is probably going to cut this part of the interview, because I mean, he really took Square Enix to task, and really he said the reason why it failed initially was because they were so arrogant and out of touch. And
it's still the case too.
This documentary was from, I believe, late last year. And he said that he said that he still thinks that they have a long way to go. He said that there's been a lot of change in the company over the 5 years since that happened, but he said that they still have a long way to go. And so I have a lot of respect for him being very honest about that, because I think that that's the case. I still think we're getting quotes and we're getting actions from Square Enix that shows that they're still, I don't know if it's this old guard in there that just feels so out of touch with the reality. So Anyway, it's another tangent. I'm so sorry. But there we go. TGS Final Fantasy 14. All right. Paul Nichols, a very hard question. I'm not gonna lie. Gio and I both struggle with this one, Paul. It's a great question, but this one was tough. Okay. Favorite Easter egg in an RPG?
All right, well, I'm going to cheat on this one because I don't have a specific one in mind. In the Fallout universe, especially 3, there are like tons and tons of Easter eggs. That game is riddled with Easter eggs, as well as, Elder Scrolls. A lot of the Bethesda developed games, they have a ton of Easter eggs. So I would say I like the ones in Fallout the best. There's just like a whole mess of them in there, and I can't really pinpoint a specific one. So, yeah, it's tough, really tough question actually, for me, anyways.
I don't know if this is a cheat as well, but I'm going to go with Guild Wars 2, and the reason why I'm up in the air, because this isn't necessarily an Easter egg from another game. There are a lot of like pop culture references in Guild Wars 2 that I like, but one of the things that I love about Guild Wars 2 is the fact that it takes place, I want to say it's like 250 or 300 years after the first Guild Wars. And the original Guild Wars is still to this day is one of my favorite gaming experiences I ever had. I was so locked into that community and into the guild. My brother and I, it was like the way that we bonded for years was playing Guild Wars, talking about Guild Wars. So Guild Wars 2, to me, the Easter eggs that I love in that game are all of the environments and the locations that have changed over that 300 years between GW1 and GW2, because there are entire areas that have either grown into a jungle or have turned into a desert, but they took the time to take these like hallmark locations and these monuments and things like that and preserve them or keep them. One of my favorite is it was one of the temples. I think it may have been a Temple of Grinth, the god of death, and you see that pretty early on in the very, very first Guild Wars campaign. And then in Guild Wars 2, I want to say it's actually like at the bottom of a lake. And Guild Wars 2 has a lot of underwater content. And it's literally at the bottom, a pile of rubble at the bottom of the lake. But you can still, you notice the structure, and you notice that even though it's rubble, this is what it is. I just think that was cool that they took the time to do that, and to think how would things change over time. And then for me, it was fun going around the world and being like, oh wait, I was here 5 years ago when I was playing Guild Wars 1. Wow, this looks totally different. So
right,
everything in Guild Wars 2 like that.
They kind of did that in Breath of the Wild too. With some of the locations, I know they did it with Lon Ranch on Ocarina of Time. So
I don't have a very historied experience with Zelda.
With Zelda.
So,
Yeah, they did that with Breath of the Wild as well, which is really cool. I like that when they do that.
I love all the throwbacks in Final Fantasy. Every time you see them, the different iterations of things. I like that. The different Sids, seeing the Chocobos, seeing the Mogs and the Moogles and things like that. So, yeah. All right. Is that all the questions this week?
I believe so.
All right. Gio, it's time to cue the music.
Cue it right now.
There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to everybody pack up. It's time for a side quest.
We're going away.
We're going away, all right?
I don't know where we're going.
Everybody pack your bags. We're all on this trip together, okay? Gio, what are we doing for the side quest this week?
What we're doing is we're making a movie, Phil. Okay?
We're
making a live-action movie.
A movie.
We're making a live-action movie, and it's a video game movie, so it's going to be really, really good. And
directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
I would choose a different director. Okay.
Respectfully choose a different director.
He is not a bad choice. I would just choose a different one. His last few films have been actually pretty good. Okay. But I would choose Favreau to direct our film. Okay.
What film is it, Gio?
This film is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Okay. So we're responsible for casting the main characters. Obviously there's a ton of characters in this, so we're responsible for casting. Okay. Now for Rex, okay, the main protagonist here.
There was only one choice.
Yeah, there really is only one choice.
There is only one choice.
Now it's funny that I had no idea that you were. Okay, behind the scenes here, we have a shared document that we put together, and Phil was just kind of noting his selection. And I was just kind of updating Twitter, just kind of trying to get things going on Twitter, get people to answer. And we had the same exact answer.
Without seeing the other ones, yeah.
Right, and this is Taron Egerton from Kingsman. So if you haven't seen Kingsman, you're missing out.
He's also going to be Robin Hood in the upcoming new Robin Hood.
Yes, I saw that, unfortunately. So, so yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the first Kingsman, do yourself a favor, watch it. I have not watched the second one, so I can't really say anything. But he would make for a perfect Rex.
It's the jawline. She, like, the moment I saw Rex, I was like, okay, it's that actor. This actor actually has this pointed square jawline. It's perfect, and you can easily give him spiked hair.
Even his voice kind of sounds, I hear Rex's voice in his voice. We did have some answer. We had an answer on Twitter. Elijah Wood was another
I could see that. I like that. I like that.
I could see that as well. I can definitely see that. So, three great answers. But we're gonna go with Egerton for now. Okay. Again, money is not an issue.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no budget here.
No budget. Don't worry.
This is a Michael Bay movie.
There's gonna be explosions everywhere. We could do even lens flares. I can.
J.J. Abrams will bring him in to do the God rays.
We'll do some lens flares. All right. So for Pyra, Why don't you go over your selection?
Okay, so for Pyra, I went a little different direction. I went with Haley Lou Richardson, who acted in Split and a
Yep.
few other things that I've seen. For this, I don't know. With Pyra, I wanted to go a little bit younger. I feel like that is sort of a representative of her character because she wakes up and she's sort of learning the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is Pyra, not necessarily Mithra, which I went a little bit different direction. But yeah, so I went Haley Lou Richardson for that. If you come at me about the hair can be colored. Don't
Yeah,
don't at me over hair, okay?
yeah, no. No, I would never do that to you. I have no hair. So,
And I will say, I did actually, once again, completely separate of you. I did think about your choice, and I do
okay.
like your choice. So go ahead and tell us who that is.
My choice is Sophie Turner, okay, from Game of Thrones. She is geez, I can't remember her name right now.
Sansa.
Sansa Stark. Okay.
Hmm.
Um I feel maybe she's not quite young enough.
Well, she was also a character in the greatest iteration of X-Men films. In X-Men: Age of Apocalypse, she was Phoenix.
Now you said greatest,
Yeah,
right?
the great. Yeah, it was the
Okay.
best.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure I
yeah,
was getting that clear in
the
my
best
headphones.
iteration of
The
X
best.
Men on screen that we've ever seen.
Okay. You may be fired before you even start. Um so yeah, I feel like Sophie Turner.
She's got the red hair. Grab the red
She's got
hair
the
right
red
off the
hair.
bat.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, that's I think she's a great actress. I think she would fill this role quite nicely. We did have another answer, Scarlett Johansson. I feel like you could put her in any of the roles here.
Yeah. Once again, I also thought about I thought about her. I don't know. I don't know why the age thing is a problem for me. I just feel
Yeah,
like
it
she
makes
feels a
sense.
little too mature.
Yep.
I might go Mithra with Scarlett Johansson before I went with Pyra for Scarlett Johansson.
Now, how do you feel about the same person playing Pyra
No,
in
I
this?
don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Okay,
I
we
don't want
don't
that.
want that here
Mm.
at Switch RPG Productions. Okay, we don't want that. So for Mithra, I put if it's not Sophie Turner, then Margot Robbie. Now I don't know. Again, I think she's experienced the world.
Yeah,
Okay, Margot Robbie is an excellent actress.
fantastic.
I think she would serve this role quite nicely.
I
Um,
think Margot Robbie. I think she's phenomenal, and I also think the character of Mithra being kind of tragic, and then also, I mean, she is sort of like to the point. You know, she doesn't.
Blunt.
Yeah, blunt. I'm trying to say this nicely. You know, she. Uh,
Matter of fact.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Doesn't give any, but
Yeah, sure.
right.
And
So
we've seen
she's
that from her, with Harley Quinn,
exactly,
with
yeah.
in some other roles as well. So,
I Tanya. Oh my goodness, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm all over that one. My choice there also a blonde actress who, in my mind, plays the personality as I think as well as
hmm
you can. That's Emma Roberts.
yeah. In American Horror Story, she plays she essentially is Mithra. I feel so. I feel like maybe I missed that one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
You
so
know,
sorry.
but honestly, she and Margot Robbie favor to me a little bit with the blonde hair, but then also like the darker brows.
Yep.
I say we were kind of going same thing.
Okay. We had also another response, Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
I can see that.
yeah. Kind of mystique-ish,
Sure.
mystique-ish.
Yep. Next on my list here, I have Nia. Okay. Why don't you go ahead with your? Oh, it looks like
Well,
we
see,
kind of all.
the thing is CR Magic in Discord said Karen Gillan, and I could not get that out of my head. I
Past.
could not get
Yep.
anybody else. I feel like that is the role. She's very diverse in how she plays, what she plays. Her natural voice is so perfect for the role, and I think I tried to find, you know, someone unique to my list for everyone. Could not get over Karen Gillan.
Yeah, what else is she in?
Well, I mean, recently, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy, she was in Jumanji, but then, I mean, she sort of made her name on Doctor Who,
Yep.
and that is sort of what I know and will always love her from. So,
Okay. All right. I guess she was in Guardians. Is that what you said? Or
yeah, she was.
yeah, you were breaking up on me, so I can.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Guardians. She is the sister.
Yeah.
She is
Okay.
Gamora's sister. I can't remember her name. You
But
can't
I-
really
okay.
tell that it's Karen Gillan, but it is.
Yeah.
She has
all
a
right.
horrible American accent.
horrible American
Just
accent.
a terrible American accent.
Well, at least it's not as bad as mine. Next, we have Zeke.
Before we get to Zeke, I inserted Joe Mark on mine because I just did like the main blades for all of them too to go along with
I
Nia.
have that. I have that as well.
Okay.
We can go to that.
I'm sorry because I was just going to do like driver blade, you know, since they go
Fine.
together.
You went in a better order than I did.
Okay, all right. Tell me who your Joe Mark is.
Sir Ian McClellan.
Okay. We went similar. I like the Ian McKellen.
Who did you? Let me
Patrick
see here.
Stewart.
Oh, Patrick Stewart. Okay.
Patrick Stewart. Yeah.
Yep. Old British dude.
There we go. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Now I got to go by your list. Hang on.
No, now we're on Zeke.
No. Forget this. I'm just gonna throw my phone out the window in a second. So Zeke, I went with Charlie McDermott. Now, if you don't know who Charlie McDermott is,
Not very familiar.
he is geez, now I can't remember the show that he's on. Oh boy, this is
Was it what you were commenting on Twitter about? Something about Fred?
no,
Or that
Drop
was
Dead
somebody
Fred
Okay.
is a different actor. Hang on, this is hopefully won't take too long.
Charlie McDermott. Is that his name?
Yeah, he's in the middle. Sorry. So he's in the show The Middle.
Okay.
I feel like his acting style is kind of like what Zeke is in the game. He's a little older now, so he's a little bulkier. He's a little taller, so I feel like that would work. I feel like it's Charlie McDermott's role, to be honest with you.
All right, mine. I feel like a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at this one because of how he's in so many things, but and I don't necessarily think the look fits, but Ryan Reynolds sort of in that how Zeke is like up here and also down here, and just like he's sort of spastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I was seeing Deadpool like. It feels very Deadpoolish
Okay.
in his sort of mannerisms and just how like kind of spastic he is. So went Ryan Reynolds. I think he could pull sort of like that voice off as well too.
Okay. I could see that happening.
I could see
it.
that a lot more quickly than I could see him being Pikachu. Just
Well,
saying.
he is Pikachu.
I know.
Then we have some responses on Twitter. We have Johnny Depp. I don't see that. That's just I'm not a huge Johnny Depp fan.
Maybe Johnny Depp 15 years ago. Like if
Or
we
ever,
went,
no.
well, if we went like prime Johnny Depp, but I just feel like now I just don't know. He's
Now you
so
just see him as Captain Jack Sparrow.
old. He's so old too. But I mean, I feel like a younger Johnny Depp really could have probably done
Yeah.
something.
And that was from Tim
Mhm.
Taylor, who's on our staff here. So another one was Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth.
I could see Chris Hemsworth. Actually, I was impressed by that choice.
Yeah, I feel like he's just too big.
He can drop down though. He can drop down.
Okay.
He's you
All
know
right.
you,
Hey, if Christian Bale can do it in The Pianist, so can
that was
so
Adrian
can
Brody, wasn't it? Christian Bale
in
was
The Machinist.
Machinist, yeah.
The Machinist. Sorry, I
But
got
Adrian
my
Brody did also starve himself, I believe, for the
yeah.
pianist. So
That's nuts.
but the thing with Hemsworth, oh, Gio, we were talking about this before the show. The El Royale movie. Watch him in the trailer of that, and he's just playing like this. I think he's playing like this, sort of happy-go-lucky Southern guy.
Mhm.
And I could see a little bit of Zeke in what I saw from El Royale trailer. So Hemsworth, and
Okay.
he doesn't look huge in that either. So take a look at that, and I think he looks small enough to play.
Well, he might be too expensive. I know we said money
No,
is
the
no
money's
object,
no
but
object.
we're,
You've got
we're gonna have
Ian
to take
McKellen.
we're gonna have to take it into consideration.
Oh
We,
God.
we will see. So Zeke's Blade, Pandoria. I could not find anything for Pandoria, and I saw your choice. I had no idea who that even was.
Her name is
Am I that
Aquafina.
old?
Her name's
Aquafina.
Aquafina.
Like I looked in my refrigerator and I saw some Aquafina in there, and I was so confused. I'm sorry, dad joke. This is
Yeah,
I'm just too old for this. I'm just too old for this.
So she's a young, talented Asian actress who most recently sort of popular for her role in Crazy Rich Asians, but she's also done a number of other things. I don't have the list in front of me, but the thing is,
Okay.
especially if you watch Crazy Rich Asians, her hairstyle in that movie is like it feels very Pandoria. Like it feels like almost like an anime game. So but also she was so crazy in that movie. I think you could take some of that crazy and apply it to the way that Pandoria always, like said what Zeke doesn't want, and just
Right.
was able to sort of spit back at Zeke, the his sort of bombastic nature, and she could like say one thing to unravel him. So that's why I want Aquafina.
Okay. Well, she has the job. She's the only one that showed up for the part. I couldn't think of anybody.
Now I gotta give you props for your Poppy choice. We'll get to in a few minutes, and I couldn't find anybody better than your Poppy choice.
Okay.
But we'll do Tora first.
So for Tora, I have, and I feel like everybody should have thought of this, but you didn't.
No, I was trying to bring someone original to the table, but yes,
I'm
I
sorry.
did love your choice.
Yeah, I went Andy Serkis. So he's the actor who is the Gollum. He's done other kind of green screen.
Everything that's ever been green screen, other than
Why do you play it down so much though?
Andy Serkis is the Golden State Warriors of voice acting and green screen animation. He's such a, of course he's going to get the part. He's the obvious choice. Now he was a great choice. He would obviously do it really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, he would obviously do it really well. I chose someone who I think would do it well, but I think would have to play it a little bit differently than, say, an Andy Serkis. I went with David Tennant.
Okay.
Very, very talented. I think he could manipulate his voice enough to bring it into Tora range, but it would still be sort of a different Tora than Andy Serkis would give us. I kind of know what Andy Serkis would give us. It would be crazy. And I think that Tenet would be a little bit more of a subtle Tora. So I don't know.
Yeah, and now would he play like obviously Tora is a tiny
that
little
would
dude.
be CG. He'd be CG.
All CG.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of like Alice in the Wonderland with the twins there.
Yeah.
Okay, we could figure that out. No problem. Or,
Well, I mean, like, look, if Disney is doing this, I mean, and it's like Jungle Book, I mean,
we could figure it out.
oh, it's gonna look great.
Also, CR Magic was thinking maybe Jack Black.
Which,
I
yeah,
could see the voice.
yeah.
Kung Fu Panda.
You could also do like his face, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So for Poppy, are we going Poppy? Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
Poppy.
Now, we you could go all the iterations of Poppy, right? Like she's got
Mm-hmm.
many different levels. I guess. So I mean, it. I just went with the kind of the basic
Mm-hmm.
Poppy. Mayim Bialik. Is it Bialik?
I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name.
Anyway, she's in
Big Bang
that
Theory.
nerd show.
Big Bang Theory.
And yeah, Big Bang Theory. I just know her as Blossom. Okay, the old TV show. I think she could add a level of intelligence to Poppy that she already has. Poppy is very smart. Now, could she? You know, she's an amazing actress, so I think she could pull off the voice, kind of the robotic tone of what Poppy is.
Why?
So
Well, that's exactly sort of why I thought this was such a good choice, was because, and I thought that you would, since you made this choice, you would have really kind of known her from Big Bang Theory. But I feel like she plays a scientist on there who is so like stiff and, you know, way too intelligent for her own good. And so I
mhm,
feel like some of that stiff and robot, or, you know, natural robotic tendency from that show would translate really well to Poppy. And then I also think she could sort of play that sort of sarcastic servant, you know, kind of how
right.
Poppy is toward Tora, you know, like, oh, Master Pawn. But a lot of times she's like sort of making fun of Tora because Tora's kind of an idiot, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, she kind of speaks that way, like in general. I mean, I don't really watch Big Bang Theory, but I've seen a lot of interviews from her because I think she's really intelligent. So I've seen a lot of her interviews. It's just the way she talks, her cadence and everything. So it kind of it led me to Pop Me, anyways.
and she's, I think it's a great choice.
Yep. Next, we have Morag. Why
I
don't you
love
go ahead here?
both of our choices here. I gotta say, I
Yeah.
think this is probably my favorite casting. People said it couldn't be done. They said it was impossible. They said it was too perfect before. But I gotta say, I really like both of ours.
Yeah. Yeah. So who do you have?
I have I'm not sure how to say it. Is it Charisse? Is it Cerise? Is it Karis Van Houten? Who
Houghton?
is better known among many other things from Europe, but Melisandre from
Mhm.
Game of Thrones.
Yep. The Red Witch.
The Red Witch. I feel like if you want to talk about someone who can bring sort of the understated undertone, like subtle, very sort of militant,
Mm-hmm.
get the job done. And that's not easy to play either. And that's one thing that I liked about Melis. There's many things I didn't like about Melisandre as a character, but what I did like was
Yeah.
how just sort of like she played that understated, like, I'm sort of evil and I'm also driven, but, you know, kind of like a tinge of charming too, you know.
Yeah, and it's the kind of the same reasons why I picked
Mm-hmm.
my choice was Kate Blanchett.
Oh,
Um, and
fantastic choice.
and CR Magic also picked him as well. So I mean, I was starting to write her name, and I'm like, oh, let me see if anyone kind of answered this, and he did it. So, um, yeah, and there was another response. No one can make her. She is perfect.
That's why, yeah,
Well,
no,
that's
it can't be done.
wrong because Kate Blanchett could do it. Um, but yeah, I think she's I don't get the I think Kate Blanchett looks young to me. She's older.
So young, yes, but
Yeah.
she looks so, that picture that I don't remember if it was you or if it was CR Magic that posted, where she's got like dark hair and like she's got,
Yeah,
you
that
can
was
see her
yep.
tattoos. I mean, she looks so young.
Yeah, she's 50.
Yeah, I cannot
But
believe it. I cannot believe
right,
it.
but I mean she could pull off
She
Morag
is
with
so one of my favorite actresses, and she is all the same reasons as Melisandre that I was talking about. She plays that sort of level
Mhm.
tone, understated. Like there's so much depth in the dialogue, but she's not overacting. She never overacts it. It's just it sounds so natural every time she sort of plays that depth, complex. Right. No, I'm not saying Morag is villainous, but Morag is complex, right? Multi-layered.
Kate Blanchett was in Thor, right? She was kind of like
she was Hera. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, just that role
looked amazing in that.
Yeah,
in the movie.
Sold it for me.
So underutilized, in my opinion.
I seem to have lost my list, but I believe next is Bridget.
Bridget's the last one I have on my list. Yeah.
Okay. This was a hard one for me. I think I got it. Maybe if this actress was a little younger, although she still looks young to me, Jessica Biel, I think, could play.
Yeah, Bridget. Yeah. I didn't know that you went with that choice. I didn't see that if you posted that somewhere. Yeah. I like that. I haven't seen Jessica Biel in enough things, but the couple of things that I have seen her, yeah. I really like my choice. I went back to the Crazy Rich Asians.
You've been watching that show?
Well, it's a movie, so I watched it one time. But
it's a movie?
It is a movie, yeah.
Missing out, I guess.
It was a good movie. But she's also been in so many other things. When I looked at her IMDb, I could not believe how many pretty popular things she's been in. But Gemma Chan, or him, I'm not sure if it's Hema or Gemma. It's Gemma. But she looks incredible. But she specifically in Crazy Rich Asians, she plays this rich person, yes, but she plays regality some of the best that I've seen in a long time. And that's what I feel with Bridget is kind of with Morag too, but Bridget to me just seems so regal and almost floats above everyone else, you know. And honestly, Gemma Chan in Crazy Rich Asians specifically sort of played that character to me that every time she came on screen, she was floating above everyone else. And she played that regality and she played that royalty. Once again, it was understated. It didn't feel over the top. And I love her as my choice for Bridget.
Yeah. I'm actually, I didn't know who she was because obviously I've never seen that movie. Apparently,
it just came out last month.
Okay, well, she looks the part too.
She really does. The long hair, just like the long straight hair. And she's gonna be a leading role in Captain Marvel coming up too. I'm excited to see her in that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Nice. Like I said, look her up on IMDb. She's got a lot of stuff.
Cool.
Recent stuff. So that was a lot of fun to me. I really liked paring that down. But that nothing's gonna beat our Rex choice though. Like people at me, okay? Nobody beats Taron Egerton. It was my immediate casting.
Yep. Both of ours.
Yeah.
Immediately. And this is set to release in 2044. So look forward to it.
Wow. So everybody that we casted, they're gonna look really good in their 60s.
Oh shoot! Yeah, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to do this again next time. I would say we could try to finally tackle our Zelda movie that we've been promising since the beginning of this podcast. But I mean, that was like 3 characters to cast there. So anyway, I had a lot of fun with that. That was a good side quest.
Cool.
That was a good side quest. Everybody, if you weren't able to get in on the conversation, don't be afraid to join now. Switchrpg, Twitter is the one who posted originally, or you can just literally, tag me and Gio in your choices. If you love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, feel free to give your fan casting for that. We'd love to hear it.
I was gonna do Shulk too. Just saying. It was Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's the reason. That's the way we would cast him is he would have to just scream. We would have to see what does it sound like if you scream, Because it doesn't matter what you sound like when you're just talking. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to yell Fiona.
He could do it. Leonardo DiCaprio, he does it in The Revenant all the time.
Oh, wow. I like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap us up. This has been a marathon, but it's been fun. Look, we missed a week. It's 2 weeks in the making.
I like to think we made up for it, right?
Look, this was great. It's good to be back on a normal schedule. Even though the direct should be coming later this week, we weren't going to postpone this anymore. I was chomping at the bit to be back. So.
Yep, as I was too as well.
Thank you so much for listening, if you're still here. And thank you everyone who sent in questions and comments, feedback, side quests, everything like that. Keep them all coming. Remember, you can send in your emails by filling out the form at switchrpg.com/podcast. You can join our conversation on Discord at discord.switchrpg.com. And remember, you can catch the show each and every Wednesday on your favorite podcast app, including Spotify. If you like what you hear, you can head over to patreon.com/switchrpg. Drop us $1 or $2 if you want. If you're not able to, no worries, because you just being a part of our community, coming back each and every week and listening is just so amazing. We love to have you around. So remember, you can you can fulfill all of your RPG needs on the. Oh, it's been 2 weeks. You can head over to switchrpg.com any time of the day or night for all of your RPG needs for the Nintendo Switch platform. Until next week, I'm going to be practicing that outro once more and play Final Fantasy XIV, which is coming to Nintendo Switch. It's going to be announced at TGS. You heard it here first. Good night.
I hope that's true. Snapple fact number 425: kangaroos cannot walk backwards. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.